The Greek prosecutor who secured a guilty verdict against Manchester United star Harry Maguire says the footballer's version of events are ridiculous and the player needs to apologise to the police for what happened.
The England defender is awaiting a retrial following his appeal against the verdict. In an interview with the BBC, he said he felt no need to apologise as at the time he thought he was being kidnapped and feared for his life after being hit on the legs by plain-clothed officers.
We're joined now by the lawyer who represented two of the Greek police officers in Harry Maguire's case, Dr. Ioannis Paradisis. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You've said Harry Maguire's account is ridiculous, but when anyone is fearing for their life, thinking that they're maybe going to be kidnapped, they can react unpredictably. Do you believe that maybe he did fear for his life and that he thought he'd be kidnapped?
I doubt he feared for his life because, the policemen, for a start, the Maguire party, they were in the policemen heard some kind of commotion, some kind of argument going on, and they just went there to break the argument. They just went there for help.
But they were undercover. They were undercover policemen, so it's understandable that Harry Maguire couldn't really gauge the situation. I mean, he did worry.
Yeah, but the eyewitnesses do say that immediately the policeman said, "We are from the police," and they showed them the professional ID. So I doubt there could have been any misunderstanding.
Maguire says that these two... This is what he says actually happened, just for those people who haven't followed the story that closely. He says that these two men, he doesn't mean the police, these two men approached my little sister, asked her where she was from. She responded, and then my fiancé, Fern, has seen my little sister's eyes go into the back of her head. She ran over, she was fainting, she was in and out of consciousness. Daisy, that's his little sister, had been injected with an unknown substance he feared. She had a little stamp mark on her arm, a needle mark on her arm. Now, that is a very, very serious situation, and if that was your own little sister, you would react possibly in a very, angry and very, very fearful way. I think anybody can imagine that situation for themselves. It seems ridiculous to me that claim could have been investigated at all, because the trial came and went so quickly. I think over here it seems that the actual origin of his fear hasn't been investigated at all.
Well, it's a very serious accusation, and the Greek justice system should look into that. However, in Greece, like in many countries, if the victim does not make a formal complaint, there can be no examination of what happened. And from what I understand, Daisy was taken to the police station, and in front of a policeman, she didn't say any of that.
Well, you can imagine that there is perhaps a language barrier, that they are afraid. I don't know what the situation is, but it seems extraordinary, and it seems that you almost agree with that actually that the trial to convict somebody of very serious situations of assault and other things came and went within a few days, when clearly it couldn't have been investigated properly by the Greek authorities. Were you just expecting it to come to an appeal, and is that why it sort of just... I know there's a speedy jurisprudence there, but still, how could they possibly have investigated even the claims of bribery or the assault? Where's the CCTV? Where is all the evidence?
Well, this is the way it's done in Greece, and it's the normal way of dealing with this kind of crimes, because from a legal perspective, it's a very simple case. It's just...
Well, how can it be simple how can it... Sorry to interrupt, but how can it be simple? It clearly isn't simple. It's simple if you believe the policeman's version of it, but it's not simple if you don't.
There were also two civilian eyewitnesses that confirmed the police version. The one was a minivan driver, and he says exactly what the police is saying.
So are you saying that Harry Maguire, the claims of his sister being injected, her eyes rolling back, that he made no complaint to the police about that?
I am positive no complaint has been made concerning this event at the Greek police till now.
And
I don't know, maybe
had it been at the time, that would have been investigated and the trial probably would have taken longer.
Maybe, yes. But no complaint was made, and we heard about this story the first time in court.
Of course, the accusation amongst football fans is that he's a big name and there's a lot of interest, and people, yourself included, wanted to make a massive example of him.
And that the police themselves said your football career is over, as they allegedly beat him, he says.
And that doesn't look good, does it?
This is not rejected by the policemen. They never said that. But I'd like to say that Harry Maguire in Greece is not so well known as he is in Britain. Personally, I've never heard of him before this case.
He's the most expensive defender in history. I mean, he's cost 80 million. Football fans will know who he is. You may not be a football fan, but he is a big name.
Well, yes, but I've never heard of him, and the policemen I represent, I asked them, they had not heard of him before.
And it's interesting because I think you've said that the policemen involved, at least the two that you have represented, have said that somehow if Harry Maguire had apologised for his alleged violence towards them, that would have somehow made a difference. What kind of difference would it have made?
Well, in the Greek legal system, when you accept what you've done and when you apologise for what you've done, the sentencing is much different. So this would have changed a lot.
And talk to us about the appeal procedure, because it does, I think, in Greek law, just obviously I'm not 100% across it, Greek law in the same way that you are, but when there is an appeal process, Harry Maguire is now seen as reverting back to being innocent. Is that right, even though the conviction remains?
No, this is not correct. What happened is that he has lodged an appeal. The case will be retried on the facts and on the law. I think from 1 to 2 years, the appeal process will take place. His conviction stands, so they are all convicted persons. Nevertheless, it means that the consequences of the judgment are stayed, which means he does not have a criminal record and he does not have to pay the court fees that he was convicted to pay.
But doesn't that expose the problem with the initial trial, the very thing you've just said there, that the appeals process could take 2 years? Now, the facts are there. Why is it that the initial trial could take just, I think it was 3 days, but an appeals process could take 2 years when the facts and the evidence surely should have been examined before a conviction is given in the first place?
Well, the initial trial lasted over 6 hours, which is an enormous amount of time for this kind of trial, because as I told you before, it was a simple kind of trial. It was just tourists having had a drink too much and misbehaving on vacation, attacking police, and then trying to use their wealth to get out, to get out of what they've done. It was a simple case, and it lasted 6 hours. There were eyewitnesses, and this is why it happened so quickly, so that all the evidence is there.
So tell us about your clients. What state are they in? Are there scars from the attack? How are they?
Yeah, they had scars. Their scars and bruises were shown in trial. And what I'd like to say, I think what is unacceptable, and no one has said any kind words about that, is that it's unacceptable for a policeman just doing his job, who went there to try to help and break some kind of fight, going home after his shift with scars and bruises. This is totally unacceptable, and I'm appalled that Harry Maguire hasn't said any kind words about that. He could say, I'm innocent, but he could just say that he's very sorry and that he rejects violence.
Well, he insists that he didn't know that they were the police. He thought he was getting kidnapped. In fact, he said he was relieved when he ended up in a prison cell, because then he thought, actually, it was the police. But he says, I don't think I hurt him, he says. Put it this way, I didn't hurt him as much as they hurt me. What effect or what coverage has this had in Greece? Is it a big story there? Because obviously it's an enormous story here.
Well, it's not as big a story as in Britain, but people have been shocked that what's more shocking, because it's a big tourist destination, Greece, every year we have tourists misbehaving, behaving not like they would at home. But what has shocked people is that they have tried to use their wealth, their position to get out of it. And this is quite shocking.
And what kind of response have you had from football fans and from others about the fact that you are defending the 2 Greek police officers involved?
Well, I've been receiving hate mail. I've been receiving emails that with threats. What I'd like to say, and this email is from football fans. What I'd like to say to all the football fans is, please stop sending me emails. And I'm very sorry if you think I've offended you in any way. I'm sorry, and I respect Manchester United. It's a team that has a great history, and I've been told that it has been explained to me that Harry Maguire is a great athlete, and of course I respect, his athletic career. But please stop sending me emails.
Do you think there is an element from what you say? It's just making me think that, you've classed what's happened amongst all the other cases. It seems that the Greek police are very commonly dealing with, British tourists drinking too much, getting a bit violent on a night out, and so therefore this case to you seems like...
Not necessarily British tourists in general.
Tourists in general. But it does...
Yes.
There is a possibility, isn't there, that it's sort of been classed as that sort of incident, when in fact the details could be much more sinister, and where actually you have sort of just glossed over some of the underlying factors that led to this, that it wasn't just British tourists getting a bit drunk and getting out of hand with the police. There is much more to it. And how will it be if that all comes out in the appeal? It will really shine a light on the Greek police and the failure to look at the evidence when it was presented to them in the first place, won't it?
Because you have to remember that you may not recognise him, but many people out on the streets that night would have recognised him, would have known who he is, and those players attract attention, and some of it's negative.
Yes, I can understand that, but the problem is that the three defendants, including Harry Maguire, they didn't give a statement to the police, no police interview, they just said no comment, and then they didn't appear in court. So we have not heard of Harry Maguire's or his friend's side at all in Greece. The only thing we have heard is his defense team in court and his BBC interview. Nothing else has been said by him. So, of course, I think he should come to Greece and explain himself in the appeal.
Will he have to be there for the appeal? Is there a legal requirement for the... He won't have to be there?
He can be represented. He doesn't have to be here.
OK, well, thank you so much for joining us on the... Sorry?
I doubt he will appear.
Indeed. Thank you so much for joining us on the programme. That is Dr. Ioannis Paradeisis, who's representing two of the Greek officers who claimed that they were attacked by Harry Maguire. Of course, he denies all of the charges vociferously, despite being convicted last week.